Hello. Thank you very much for joining me today. How are you doing? Me, not so well. Because I just saw this. European tourism to the United States is in free fall, as evident by this graph right here. Wow, look at that. Who could have foreseen this? Was this calculated? Is this part of the 4D chess? I mean, I haven't seen a chart like this since 2 weeks ago when Tesla reported their sales for this quarter. But seriously, I mean, I consider this a major concern, considering tourism is a really great part of any country's GDP. I mean, it's kind of like the ultimate import, you know? You're just importing people to spend their money, and then they leave. It's great. So this is really bad. And I mean, these graphs look a little bit, you know, you could look at this and say, well, what is this really showing? This is like the trailing 12 months, so maybe this month is just always really low for some reason. But no. Here's a Forbes article that confirms that tourism is down 17% from Western Europe compared to March of last year. So compared to the same period, it's down 17%. I mean, as far as it being a percentage of GDP, this data obviously goes back before the pandemic, which you can see the pandemic right here hits. It drops off a cliff, but typically sits around 1.2% of GDP, which is kind of interesting because if that declines 17%, I mean, that's, 25 basis points, which might be just enough to push us into a recession over the next 2 quarters. Maybe. I mean, we're right teetering on the edge as it is, so that's quite interesting. Of course, the tariffs are already set to kind of ensure that that does happen anyway. Anyway, I'm just going to read some comments and stuff. I want to see what you guys are saying. I'm prepared. Up next, look at the tourist imbalance. Here, I've been practicing I can already tell this is a Trump quote or a fake Trump quote.
Look at the tourist imbalance. Europe is ripping us off. They must send more people.
It's funny because that actually is like kind of that's pretty much the same analogy. That's pretty much as ridiculous as talking about a trade deficit, as if it's a ripoff. Imagine pissing off travelers of the continent that is notorious for the many vacation days it gets. That's a good point. The wealthiest region with the most, one of the wealthiest regions with definitely the most travelers in the world, right? Probably the worst region to piss off, Western Europe. And I actually suspect these numbers will plummet significantly further. That's my honest guess. Obviously, when you're planning a trip, an international trip, you're planning it months, if not, a year in advance. At least I am, so. I mean, let's say, when is a popular time to travel? The summer. So, coming up in a few months, people won't be planning a trip to the United States. So, I think these numbers come summer are going to be pitiful. This is just the beginning, in my opinion. We'll see. I guess for my sake, I hope not. Just for the sake of the American economy, I'd rather it not crater. I mean, not that, obviously, I don't want to be hyperbolic. I'm not saying this will cause a cratering of the economy. I'm saying the economy is already cratering, and this could be the straw to break the camel's back. Why would I go to a country that doesn't see me as an equal, but as a poor, lazy leech? Well, I don't see you that way. I don't know. I actually don't know what that's referring to. I don't know anybody who sees Europeans that way. Only the French. No, I'm just kidding. That was a total joke. Okay. Calm down. And why would I risk going through their airport immigration process when they may interrogate me for as long as they want and search my phone, all for them to be scared of picking up by ICE because I look illegal and be taken to a jail with no due process before being deported? That's not your idea of an ideal vacation? Yeah, I see the reasons not to come to the U.S. as being twofold. It's both because a lot of Europeans are just pissed off at the United States for the tariff thing mainly, and the Ukraine thing mainly. That thing. That little thing. So So there's that aspect of it, just kind of as retribution, but then also out of fear. Like, I don't know if we want to risk it, guys. I don't know if we want to risk going to the United States. We might get deported. Good. I was supposed to go to the U.S. for a reunion this year, but I decided not to. There you go. What I wonder is why only 20 to 30%? I mean, that's a lot. That's really a lot. Hoping it will continue down. I believe it will. Canceled my trip to New York. We'll go to Italy for 2 weeks instead. Not good for America. Let me just take a look back at this chart here. Let's see. Austria. So this is like trailing 12 months, it looks like. And this was the Trump inauguration. You know, right at the start of... okay, I guess this is the Trump election. November. Interesting. I think this all really started to go way downhill, though, in the last 2 months. I mean, this is talking about March. So let's see. Austria, 20% down. Denmark, 30%. Germany, 30%. Iceland, 30%. Norway, 30%. Spain, 20%. Sweden, hey, just 18%. And the UK, wow, look how consistent the UK. And we managed to piss them off too, 12%. Oh, these are actually year-on-year changes. I thought these were month-over-month. Okay, so this actually makes more sense. These are year-over-year changes monthly. So yeah, this is, you know, compared to the previous year, they're all down 20 and 30%. Yikes. This is really the type of impact and ramification that I genuinely don't think the Trump administration even foresaw, or even thought to think about. In their little group chat, you know, they're just sending emojis back and forth. They're not thinking about the actual ramifications of destroying our alliances across the world and trying to bully people into like a better trade deal. I mean, the whole trade deal thing, god damn, it's just so stupid to me. It's like, okay, if you want to try to negotiate better trade deals, cool. Why do you have to like try to insult the rest of the world, shit on them, bully them into it? Why don't you try some like diplomacy, maybe some heavy-handed diplomacy? I don't know. Just like be a reasonable, cordial president? But no. Had to do it kind of the Looney Tune way, piss off the whole world. And here we go. That's what we get. Why come to a country when you'll more than likely be turned at the door or worse, sent to some prison without trial? Well, okay, now that's obviously hyperbole. You're more than likely going to be just fine. You're probably not going to end up in a prison. But there is that chance, evidently, because that's been happening. But of course, I have to call out, you know, I love to live in reality, guys. I try my best to live in reality. The world is such a horrible place right now, honestly, for those of us trying to live in reality. So I don't like hyperbole that's saying, you know, you'll more than likely be turned at the door. No, you won't. And you're probably not going to end up in prison. Now, there is probably a non-zero chance you'll end up in a prison and then be deported. I'm not saying it's good. It's really not good. And those types of news stories are exactly why, you know, that's causing that fear. Justifiably. They don't need us Europoor anyway. It's kind of funny. I've never heard that word Europoor. First time I'm hearing it is from a European. I guess I should say the American people love Europeans. It might not seem that way, but we do. You definitely wouldn't know it based off our current administration. My brother-in-law traveling from the EU to the USA was picked out while entering the US 4 weeks ago. He has been in prison since. God damn. Family was not notified. He vanished. After 2 weeks, his US family finally had confirmed what they already feared. He got picked out. He got a US passport. Parents come from South America, and he's black. He now can contact his folks by phone, but is prohibited to talk about the situation. It's insane. He's prohibited to talk about the situation. That should not be the case. Now, his lawyer might advise him against it. but he certainly should not be prohibited. Like, that's... Moving on. His sister and kids wanted to travel to the U.S. to meet the grandparents, but canceled the trip for obvious but insane reasons. Yippee. God, we just feel so much safer here in America now. That's the thing. We just feel so much safer now that all the innocent travelers are being deported. You know, I mean, people here in America got fear-mongered into deporting, like, all the illegal aliens. Which, honestly, I mean, if it's illegal immigration, then at least that's debatable. And you can argue for it. What that's got to do with, like, legal immigration or illegal travelers, no idea. No idea what anybody's thinking anymore. Disney World and Universal Studios in Florida will be ghost towns this summer. Hey, you know, there's a silver lining for me, guys. Maybe I'm going to Florida. The lines, finally. I'll be able to ride every coaster. It'll be like that episode of South Park. Have you seen that, where Cartman buys the amusement park and he's the only one there? And it's depressing. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me today, even though you won't be joining me in person because nobody's coming to America anymore. That's fine. You can join me digitally. I appreciate it. We're still friends. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye.